Wow. So it seems new files that came out in the Epstein files, man, about 300 pages, which is crazy, and a lot of names in there. It is very surprising. We got Donald Trump, we got Elon Musk, we got Jay-Z, who's a rapper, also Pusha T, who are also a rapper, and we also got billionaire Bill Gates in the paperwork as well. Man, listen, am I really surprised? Well, I am kind of surprised by Jay-Z and Pusha T. I'm not gonna lie to you, but other people like billionaires like Bill Gates and Donald Trump, yeah, I'm not surprised about those right there. You know what I'm saying? But this situation is wild. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy and sick by just hearing some of the stuff and reading up on some of the stuff, which is crazy, man. But that's really TMZ article, and let's play a couple news clips or whatever and read some more articles. And it's very interesting, man. So let's get into it. So this right here from TMZ, man, says Epstein's files, underage girl claims Trump's forced oral sex. Wow. This is crazy, man. And a lot of that stuff is allegedly, you know what I'm saying? But in the files today, in the news report, it got these guys' names in there, you know what I'm saying? Bombshell allegation in the latest Epstein files document released. An underage girl claims she was forced to perform oral sex on Donald Trump approximately 35 years ago in New Jersey. Wow. It says reported an unidentified female friend who was forced to perform oral sex on President Donald Trump approximately 35 years ago in New Jersey. The friend told Alexa that she was approximately 13 or 14 years old when this occurred, and a friend allegedly bit President Trump while performing oral sex. The friend was allegedly hit in the face after she laughed about biting President Trump. The friend said she was also abused by Epstein. Wow. The allegation is from a document in the files that describe a tip that was sent to the feds. The complaint summary says the feds were told the underage girl was approximately 13 or 14 years old when the alleged incident occurred. And it says the alleged victim allegedly bit President Trump while performing oral. Wow. The document said the feds forwarded the lead to the Washington office to conduct an interview. Another allegation was the feds deemed not credible is from a female who claimed she was the victim and witnesses to a sex trafficking ring at the Trump golf course in Rancho Palos Verdes, California, between 1995 and 1996, involving big orgy parties with young girls, older Victoria's Secret models, and celebs like Trump, Bill Clinton, and Robert Leach. The documents say the feds got a call from a female who claimed to be a prisoner, and they referenced Lisa Marie Presley, the British royal family, Trump, and Jeffrey Epstein. The feds say they were unable to contact the woman who lived in Australia. Another allegation is from a woman who claims she was 13 years old and pregnant in 1984 when she was forced to perform oral sex. She told the feds she was sex trafficked by high profile individuals, and the Trump regularly paid her money to force her to perform oral sex. She also alleged Trump was present when her uncle murdered her newborn child. The feds say they were unable to contact the woman. Wow, this is crazy. A different caller who the feds were unable to make contact with alleged a friend thought she had been raped by Trump in 1987 at the Trump Plaza. Another caller, the feds say they did not leave contact information, claimed Trump had parties at Mar-a-Lago called Calendar Girls, where Epstein would bring children and Trump would auction them off. The caller claimed Trump measured the girls' vulva and vaginas by penetrating them with fingers and rating them based on tightness. The caller alleged party guests included Elon Musk, Donald Trump Jr., Ivanka Trump, Eric Trump, and Alan Dershowitz and Bob Shapiro. Wow, this is crazy, man. The caller claimed she and others were taken into rooms and forced to give oral sex to Trump. She alleged they were forced to allow them to penetrate us. She claimed she was 13 when Trump raped her and that Ghislaine Maxwell was present. We reached out to the White House and we were referred to the DOJ's Friday press release and the Epstein files dump where DOJ says this production may include fake or falsely submitted images, documents, and or videos as everything that was sent to the FBI but the public was included in a production that is responsible to the act. Wow. Some of the documents contain untrue and sensational claims against President Trump that were submitted to the FBI right before the 2020 election. Man, this is crazy, man. Like just reading some of that stuff. Like I said, man, a lot of that stuff is allegedly. You know what I'm saying? It's just like We already hear some of the stuff going on, what happened at the islands and stuff like that, Epstein Island. You know what I mean? And some people already figured Donald Trump's name was going to be in it because he knew this guy. You know what I'm saying? If you took a picture with this guy, we already know you probably was there. You know what I mean? So a few months ago, files and pictures already come out that Bill Clinton was already, yeah, he was there. You know what I'm saying? Maxwell as well. And now we got Donald Trump, Elon Musk, and other figures that was there as well. This is crazy, man. So that's look at this CNN report right quick.
More than 3 million pages, 2,000 videos, and 180,000 images. CNN teams are carefully sifting through the largest, and what the Justice Department says is the last, batch of Jeffrey Epstein files. It's an enormous trove of documents, and it includes references to some of the richest and most powerful people on the planet. That includes the current president, a former president, cabinet secretaries, a former prime minister, billionaires, and the list goes on and on and on. The Justice Department says tonight that its job is done.
We complied with the statute, we complied with the act, and there is no, we did not protect President Trump, we didn't protect or not protect anybody. I mean, I think that there's a hunger or a thirst for information that I do not think will be satisfied by the review of these documents.
I should note that just because someone is mentioned in these documents does not mean that they've been accused of wrongdoing or did anything wrong. Many of these claims are unverified or they rely on secondhand information. But these are the key findings our team has uncovered so far, and I should note, millions of pages have come out. We are still digging right now in this hour. Donald Trump's name appears thousands of times in these new documents. In some, he's merely mentioned in emails that Jeffrey Epstein sent to other people. But the files also contain a complaint from a woman who accused Trump of raping her in 1994 when she was just 13 years old. According to the FBI document, this accuser, who is identified as Jane Doe, said that Jeffrey Epstein was, quote, angry that Trump was the one to take her virginity and that she was also raped by Jeffrey Epstein. This woman had previously launched lawsuits against Trump and dropped them. The last one happened right before the 2016 election. The president has previously denied these allegations. Also included in today's release was a list of sexual assault allegations related to the president compiled by the FBI in August, many of which appear to have come from unverified tips. We don't know why tonight the FBI made this list, and there are more than a dozen allegations that are included in it. But recall what the president has previously said about these documents, about the Jeffrey Epstein files. He said that they are a hoax and that the release of them could ruin people's reputations.
I know it's a hoax. It's started by Democrats. It's been run by the Democrats for 4 years. You had Christopher Wray and these characters and Comey before him.
I would say that, these files were made up by Comey. They were made up by Obama. They were made up by the Biden, we went through years of that with the Russia hoax, with all of the different things that we had to go through. We've gone through years of it.
Just to be clear, Christopher Wray was the president's pick for FBI director that he put into that job. This also comes as we're learning.
So Donald Trump is basically saying that these files are fake. You know what I'm saying? Everything that's going on, everything that we read, I just read, TMZ got, and all these files that everybody read today, there's a host. There's a host from the Democrats and stuff like that. But then again, it's like we all kind of been know about these stuff going on with Epstein. You know, so even before he got arrested, there was rumors out there. Now it is finally coming to light. You know what I'm saying? And it seems that everything Donald Trump says, his supporters going to believe him. You know what I mean? Which is crazy.
For the first time about Jeffrey Epstein's contact with Elon Musk. You may remember Elon Musk dropped what he described as a really big bomb last year. He said Trump was in the Epstein files, and that was the real reason that they had not been made public. Well, it turns out, based on what we saw today, Musk is also in the Epstein files. Emails show that he tried coordinating multiple visits to Jeffrey Epstein's private island. In one from 2013, Elon Musk asked Jeffrey Epstein, when should we head to your island? The year before, he said, what day night would be the wildest party on your island? Now, this is after Musk claimed, in all caps, I should note, last year that, quote, Epstein tried to get me to go to his island, and I refused. Musk's representatives did not immediately respond to CNN's request for comment for explanation for those emails and that contact. And speaking of distancing and denials, recall what President Trump's Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick said just last year about a 2005 encounter that he had with Epstein at his Manhattan townhouse.
I say to him, massage table in the middle of your house? How often you have a massage? And he says, every day. And then he gets weirdly close to me. Ooh. And he says, and the right kind of massage. And in the 6 or 8 steps it takes to get from his house to my house, my wife and I decided that I will never be in the room with that disgusting person ever again.
Wow.
Okay, so that was 2005. The files released today showed that Howard Lutnick tried to meet or call with Epstein several times after 2005, much longer after. A 2011 email to Jeffrey Epstein from his assistant reads, Howard Lutnick will come see you at 5 p.m. That same year, the heading of an alarm message reads, Drinks with Howard Lutnick. And Lutnick also emailed Jeffrey Epstein's assistant in 2015, inviting Epstein to a Democratic fundraiser for Hillary Clinton that he was hosting. Asked for comment on these emails and the correspondence between the two, a spokesperson for the Commerce Department told CNN Secretary Lutnick had limited interactions with Mr. Epstein in the presence of his wife and has never been accused of wrongdoing.
Some of the victims of Epstein have expressed frustration with the entire process. I want to give you the opportunity to speak directly to them.
Well, I don't know what you're speaking to. I mean, if there's frustration with, quote, the entire process, same here. I mean, you have a situation where for many, many years, nobody even breathed a word about Jeffrey Epstein. And then all of a sudden, it was all anybody would talk about. Listen, victims of Mr. Epstein have gone through unspeakable pain. And there's nobody that should say anything differently. I hope that the work that the men and women within this department have done over the past 2 months hopefully is able to bring closure.
And tonight we are hearing directly from Jeffrey Epstein's survivors who are angry, some of them frustrated that their names showed up unredacted in the files that came out today, despite what we heard from the Justice Department about a pledge to prioritize their privacy. More than a dozen of the survivors issued a new joint statement. It reads in part, this latest release of Jeffrey Epstein files is being sold as transparency, but what it actually does is expose survivors. Once again, survivors are having their names and identifying information exposed, while the men who abused us remain hidden and protected. That is outrageous. As survivors, we should never be the ones named, scrutinized, and re-traumatized, while Epstein's enablers continue to benefit from secrecy. This is a betrayal of the very people this process is supposed to serve. One of the Epstein survivors who signed that statement is Jess Michaels, who says she was sexually assaulted by Jeffrey Epstein when she was 22 years old.
Now, granted, I think they released these files. I mean, not files, but I think they released the names of the victims because, this is my own thoughts process. I think they did that because if there's more victims out there, they won't come forward or anything like that. They won't come into the news or do any type of interview, you know what I'm saying, just like this lady right here about to do. So I think that's one reason why they put the victims' names out there.
And Jess joins me now. And thank you for being here on a day like today. We've spoken with many of the survivors on this show before, and I know it's not an easy conversation to have. So I really do appreciate you joining us. When you heard the Deputy Attorney General today talking about closure, is that what you feel after this release?
Firstly, thank you so much, Caitlin, not only for having me on, but for continually having Epstein survivors on so that our voices are heard. There is not a single bit of closure today. I actually brought a little show and tell for you, Caitlin. You know how I heard you speaking with the attorney before this about the 302s. And this is what the only 302 that could be found so far in the files by someone that was combing the files for hours. It was 7 pages and 4 of them looked like this. So we know that the victim's name is here, right? And that's appropriately redacted. So what is all of this? So there's no way for me to say to you that there's closure here. This is the exact opposite of transparency.
I mean, it must be so frustrating for you to look at that and to see just completely blacked out in the entire page.
And then we've seen pages where they're blacked out and the only thing not blacked out was a survivor's name. It is such incompetence. It is sloppy. I mean, if any one of us did our jobs the way the DOJ did this job, we wouldn't be working humans. We would lose our job. We would lose our place in a company, because this particular job has been so egregiously done, horrifically done.
If you had been at that press conference today at the Justice Department, what do you think you would have asked?
I would have asked, then what's this? What is missing from this page? Because one of the things that he said was about the fact that there's no list of men, there's no treasure trove of men. Then what is this? What is missing here? This is not a survivor's name. There's no survivor's name that is this long. So what I'd like to ask any of them in the Department of Justice is, what is this? This is a victim statement. The only thing that was supposed to be redacted was her name. So this is clearly protecting someone, something.
Because what would be in there would be, theoretically, and what we've seen from other 302s is that's when they interview someone who has filed a complaint, and that's their account of what happened to them.
Exactly. And so to stand on that podium and say, well, there's no names here, and to hear for months now, there's nothing in this, there's no reason, but then there should be no reason to have a black page. If there's nothing there, then what are you redacting? That's what I would have said to him.
Jess Michaels, I'm sorry. I really am, because I'm sure it's frustrating, incredibly frustrating. I don't even know if that puts it even sums up the feeling.
Yeah.
But I am grateful to you that you're willing to come on and share that and let people know how you feel about what came out today.
Thank you for having me.
Wow, man, that was very not intense, but it was sad to see one of the survivors right there who was on that island and got sexually assaulted, raped, and stuff like that by these powerful men. You know what I'm saying? And just wild to really see, man. You know what I mean? Even in today's society, man, it still kind of goes on in households and stuff like that. But just realize there was a whole island this guy had of just young kids going in, and these powerful men, grown men, messing with these young girls. You know what I'm saying? Crazy situation. And now we have rappers in this situation. Now we got Jay-Z, Pusha T, Elon Musk, Donald Trump. You know what I'm saying? But now let's go to Twitter right quick and get some reaction for just Jay-Z being in this situation. This is crazy. So this right here says, only did Jay-Z drugged and raped a woman. He was naked in bed with Harvey Weinstein. It makes sense now why Federal Informer is the CEO of Rock Nation. Y'all dusty ass ninjas going to talk about this, or what morals got to kick in at some point. Let me see if I can read this right quick. So this is one of the files right here. Let me get close. So this is one of the files, Federal Bureau of Investigations. Date and time received 7/10/2019, 8:20 a.m. Details on 7/10/2019 at 8:20 Eastern. Called the FBI National Threat Operations Center to identify herself as a victim of sex abuse by Jeffrey Epstein and others. Provided the following information. In approximately 1994, revealed herself to as a past victim of sex abuse by Epstein. Described the abuse occurred during parties. Further identified as a friend of, approximately 1996. Reside within an unknown man abducted from her home when she later awoke in the presence of Harvey Weinstein and Sean Carter. Jay-Z, while Weinstein had inserted his fingers into her, believed she was in Epstein's mansion in Florida. Estimated she was abducted on 7 occasions, awakening each time in an indoor setting, suffering from sex abuse to multiple of those occasions in which Epstein participated. Recall Leon Black and William Barr, current United States Attorney General, being present during some of the occasions of the abuse. In approximately 2006, last recalled being abused by Epstein. Wow, this is crazy, man. This is crazy. A lot of files look like that right there, and some of the files look like that lady just had a blank page. You know what I'm saying? Which is crazy. So it's like, why are pages like that are blank if they're not hiding anything? You know what I'm saying? Supposed to be transparency. You know what I mean? And like I said, a lot of that stuff is alleged. You know what I mean? But this is sad, man. This is sad and wild. You know what I'm saying? That these stuff coming out, and we got this high profile people being at this guy island messing with those young kids, man. It just is a crazy situation. Listen, man, y'all tell me what y'all think about the whole situation, yo. Do y'all believe anything about these situations? Do y'all believe this is true or it's a hoax? You know, let me know your thoughts in the comments, man.